More than 200 people rescued from the Mediterranean Sea were allowed to disembark at the port of Pozzallo in Italy on Christmas Eve. Pope Francis celebrates Christmas Eve Mass in front of 2,000 believers, emphasising working people and the littleness of Jesus. Catalonia reimposes a nighttime curfew along with other restrictions on gatherings and businesses to fight a surge in COVID-19.
Thousands of travellers were forced to rethink their holiday plans amid the Omicron surge as Delta, Lufthansa and United Airlines cancelled hundreds of flights on Christmas Eve.
Ski resorts in Austria's Salzburg region take a hit due to new COVID-related travel restrictions.
At least 13 people died after a migrant boat capsized off the coast of Greece. It's the third accident with loss of life in as many days, with at least 27 people confirmed to have died in Greek waters this week alone. The sinkings come as people smugglers favour a more perilous route from Turkey to Italy, avoiding Greece's heavily patrolled Aegean islands. A humanitarian ship carrying a group of 114 people rescued in the Mediterranean more than a week ago has been directed to the Sicilian port of Trapani. The organisation running the Ocean Viking boat welcomed the news. A doctor on board explained how people feared spending Christmas abandoned.
Where we are stranded at sea with 114 people that we rescued over a week ago from a vessel in distress. Amongst these survivors, we have 2 newborns who are facing spending their first Christmas with us here on board, and their mothers who have faced death and are continuing to suffer with us on board. As per maritime law, a rescue is only complete when the survivors have been disembarked in a place of safety.
More than 200 migrants rescued by another humanitarian boat, the CI4, were allowed to disembark in the port of Pozzallo in Italy on Friday. In total, the German vessel has saved more than 1,400 people in distress at sea over the past year.
Catalonia, home to the city of Barcelona, reimposed a nighttime curfew from Christmas Eve lasting for 15 days to fight a record surge in COVID-19 infections. A raft of other restrictions were also implemented, which will affect the community's 7.7 million people and hamper New Year's celebrations. This bar owner says it's very complicated because with the situation, tourists will no longer come to Barcelona. Everything is cancelled. We've had a good night for now because we've only had these new restrictions for 2 days. But now it's going to get worse, and I'm very afraid of not being able to have a normal 31st or end of the year. Spain had hoped for a relaxed, festive Christmas, since 80% of its population of 47 million were vaccinated. But the incredibly fast spread of the Omicron variant is starting to put pressure on hospitals, with Catalonia having a quarter of all admittances in Spain.
A nightmare before Christmas. This comes as thousands of passengers around the world faced travel disruptions and flight cancellations on Christmas Eve. The surge in coronavirus infections and the rise of the Omicron variant has pushed Austria, the Czech Republic, Italy and France to enforce tighter measures on arrivals, especially on those from high-risk countries. Delta, United Airlines and Lufthansa have all reported staff shortages. The German national carrier says it will cut its winter flight plan by around 10% as the spread of the new strain fuels travel uncertainty. That's 33,000 flight cancellations between the middle of January and February. Meanwhile, US-based airline Delta says after exhausting all options and resources, it was forced to cancel 116 scheduled flights for Christmas Eve. Many disappointed holidaymakers and families looking to reunite during the festive period now face a different kind of Christmas, as once again COVID-19 disrupts one of the busiest travel periods of the year.
As the UK grapples with the spread of the new coronavirus variant, a large-scale booster programme is underway. The government is aiming to offer a third vaccine dose to everyone 18 and over by December the 31st. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, even used his Christmas message to encourage vaccination.
After 2 years of this pandemic, I can't say that we're through it. How can I, when Omicron is surging, where we all know we must together try to stop the spread of this new variant? And though the time for buying presents is theoretically running out, there is still a wonderful thing you can give your family and the whole country. and that is to get that jab, whether it's your first or your second or your booster, so that next year's festivities are even better than this year's. And in the meantime, I thank you and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Omicron has become the dominant variant in the UK, where there have been record numbers of new cases. England has reinstated some restrictions, but more may come into effect after Christmas.
Pope Francis celebrated Christmas Eve Mass before an estimated 2,000 people in St. Peter's Basilica, going ahead with the service despite a resurgence in COVID-19. Francis urged the faithful to focus on the smallness of Jesus and remember that he came into the world poor. He said that is where Jesus is born, close to them, close to the forgotten ones of the peripheries. He comes where human dignity is put to the test. He comes to ennoble the excluded, where he first reveals himself to them, not to educated and important people, but to poor, working people. God tonight comes to fill with dignity the austerity of labour. He reminds us of the importance of granting dignity to men and women through labour. The pontiff remained maskless throughout the service and continued. This is the message. God does not rise up in grandeur, but lowers himself into smallness. Smallness is the path that he chose to draw near to us, to touch our hearts, to save us and to bring us back to what really matters. The 2,000-strong audience was far more than the 200 allowed in 2020, when Italy was in a full Christmas lockdown.
New travel regulations in Austria have already led to a wave of winter sport cancellations in the Salzburg region. From the 25th, restrictions on people entering the country from the UK, the Netherlands, Denmark and Norway will be tighter. One new rule includes a mandatory quarantine of 10 days. Only the triple vaccinated with a valid negative PCR test are exempt.
Our German guests have cancelled because their non-vaccinated children would have had to quarantine when they return home. Those are the kinds of problems we are facing. We are transferring, cancelling, managing, and new bookings are coming. It is a lot of effort.
Meanwhile, in Bulgaria, the ski season has officially opened, and due to recent heavy snowfall, the conditions are looking good. Some resorts are reporting twice the reservations as last year. Most of the hotels in Bansko are already booked for the Christmas and New Year holidays. Around 40% of our guests are from the United Kingdom. In second place is the Bulgarian market. We respect this market very much. Every tourist destination relies on its internal market. So guests from Bulgaria are very important and valuable. Here, green certificates are only required inside, in hotels and restaurants, and masks must only be worn in lifts.
Lisbon's National Tile Museum has a new ceramics exhibition dedicated to female artists. The display celebrates the country's famous azulejo tile, which features in both modern and contemporary designs. The presentation also reflects themes of oppression and gender inequality, as some of these works were produced during the Estado Novo dictatorship. Boasting colourful and striking pieces from both public and private collections, Unknown Territories marks women's dedication to the industry over the last 7 decades. The Francisco de Goya exhibition at the Fundación Belair near Basel is a historical first. After 10 years of negotiations, 77 paintings, 51 drawings, 53 engravings and lithographs, all created by one of the last major court artists, have been assembled. A pioneer in the world of modern art, this is considered the most important exhibition ever devoted to the master outside of his native Spain. Housed in the vast halls of the Grand Palais Éphémère in Paris, German painter and sculptor Anselm Kiefer's latest exhibition continues his work on European memory. Featuring large-scale installations, gloomy canvases and striking yet minimalist tributes, the artist has dedicated his new pieces to the years of conflict that gave rise to the European Union. 5 years in the making, the collection bears a nod to the tormented work of the great German poet Paul Celan.